Now to a story every parent needs to know about involving a growing and deeply sinister online trend. It is called sextortion, and it was the focus of a Senate hearing that took place yesterday that received bipartisan concern.
As a mom, you work so diligently to keep your children safe. And used to, you would get them home at night and you would lock the doors and you'd be able to kind of exhale. And now the enemy is inside our home.
The House has weakened the Kids Online Safety Act bill, in effect decimating the duty of care, which prevents the kinds of abuses and holds the platforms accountable.
The FBI has referred to sextortion as modern-day terrorism that targets young children, including 15-year-old Bryce Tate, who committed suicide in early November. His father is now speaking out, saying, quote, "They say it's suicide, but in my book, it is 100% murder. They're godless demons, in my opinion, just cowards, awful individuals, worse than criminals." Former Assistant FBI Director Chris Swecker joins me now. Chris, the FBI says that there has been a huge increase in these sextortion cases targeting children. And part of the problem is that parents and grandparents have never heard of this before and don't know that their child could fall victim to something like this. So tell us about what happens in these cases and how these scammers operate.
Yeah, Carly, this is a nightmarish crime for any parent with a teenager in the house. Yeah, it is insidious because they're all touching the internet and there are bad actors on that internet doing bad things. So what these people do, they're usually someone from overseas, Western Africa or Eastern Europe. They reach out to mostly boys, young boys in their teens, and pose as a young girl, a little bit older. And they enter into a dialogue. They do some grooming there where they've already done some research on the victim and they know where they go to high school, their activities, their friends, and that sort of thing. So they groom them for a while, and then they get them to send pictures of themselves, and then they have the victim send pictures of themselves. And then it turns into an extortion, and that happens very quickly. It goes down real fast. They create a sense of panic. There have been over 30 suicides over this, and the FBI has had over 13,000 reports of sextortion. So as it escalates, they extort money, and if they don't send money, they really start pushing them actually to commit suicide. They make them feel worthless, and it's sort of part of the pressure tactics that they use. So it's an insidious crime. Parents really need to educate their teenagers and their children about how this goes down. It's critically important.
Tamia Woods spoke at the Senate hearing yesterday on online safety for children. Her son was 17 years old. His name was James. He was 17 years old in 2022 when he committed suicide after falling victim to sextortion. Take a listen to what she had to say.
What I would say to children is be vulnerable one more time. I don't care what it is. You speak up. You say something. You stand up for yourself, because we can make sure that we have your back no matter what. I would give anything to have my son back.
And he was described as a standout athlete and a happy kid. And it took just 20 hours, Chris, from James going from perfectly normal to this happening to him and then him taking his own life. And the FBI has its focus on a sextortion ring known as 764. It's become the focus of the FBI's attention. Can you tell us about this ring and who these perpetrators are?
Yeah, this particular ring is out of Nigeria. And the perpetrators are just Nigerian scammers. They've been known for scamming, conducting cyber scams for years and years and years. They have some accomplices in the U.S. They call them money mules that accept the payment or facilitate the payment. And it's usually somewhere between $100 to $500 in the end. And these teenagers don't have much money. But it's so pervasive across the country. One particular ring got over almost $7 million across, thousands of victims. So, as was mentioned, it goes down really fast. They escalate things. They threaten to send, they extort them. It's a traditional extortion scheme, but it's not bricks and mortar based. It's all over the internet. They get into gaming sites. They get into anything that touches the internet, a tablet, a phone. You know, and again, this is something that you really have to bring up with your children. I talked to my grandson about it last night, and it was an embarrassing topic. They don't want to talk about it, but you have to get them aware. Awareness is the biggest defense here. They have to know what goes on, and they have to be willing to tell their parents if something is happening.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's what Bryce Tate's father said. He said that his child knew that he could come to the mom and dad with anything, but they didn't talk about this specific thing, so because they didn't know about it. So awareness is so important. And parents are an incredibly important line of defense here. If you have this specific conversation with your child, as Tamia Woods indicated, lives can be saved, because this is a terror threat that isn't far away. It's in every child's pocket. So it's a good conversation to have, and it's a horrific trend. But Chris, thank you so much for joining us so that you can raise awareness as we continue to explore the horrors of social media online, and this being the very latest one of them. Chris Wecker, we appreciate it.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.